want to talk about.
Welcome to the A-Train Show. And now here's your host, the A-Train, Arlington Lane.
Welcome to this edition of the A-Train Show, the A-Train, Arlington Lane. Glad you're on this ride with me today. It's Wild Wednesday, and coming up on the program, special guest is Rob Knox, freelance writer and communications professional. And we're going to have a great conversation talking everything that's going on. Just recently, this happened in the WNBA with the finals. There have been some moves that's happened. He's a big guy on baseball, and I love those that do not know me. I'll let you know now, I'm big on baseball, especially old school baseball. And I'm going to have a great conversation about that. And of course, some history being made in the NBA. All right. Speaking of that, NBA season has begun, and we have seen so far in just 2 games, we saw the Boston Celtics last night put a barrage of 3-pointers on the New York Knicks, the new look New York Knicks. Boston with a 132-109 victory. There were people that were upset. When are people not upset when they're watching a game that TNT did not show them enough love? Granted, listen, folks, this is their final season with the NBA, and I need folks to understand that some things are going to happen and people are not going to be happy with it. Okay, you got to understand that it's gonna be a trying time for this TNT group. Okay, and I think during the ring ceremony or the banner raising, they went straight to commercial, and Celtic fans went in a tizzy. And I'm like, there's no way you're going to keep people happy whatsoever. Look, it happens that they're on time constraints just like anybody else. And so they do not have to, if I'm not mistaken, they do not have to show those types of ceremonies. I know that is a special thing because it's opening. I know ESPN is big with it, but those guys do not have to if they want to, and they have time constraints as well. A lot of people were pissed off about that, and I'm like, get over that, man. It happened, it's done. But and there was basketball to be played, and from what I saw last night with the Boston Celtics, I'm like, it was very easy for them, very, very easy, and it's looking already. It's early, but I'm like, they already in championship form, and it's looking like that it's going to be hard to stop them again. Who's going to stop them in the Eastern Conference if this is how they're going to play night in and night out? 29 3-pointers on opening night. That's a NBA record. I know this is the league that we're in now, but that's still impressive that 87 of your points came from 3-point range. So congratulations to the Celtics. I know here in St. Louis, Jason Tatum getting a ring is something special, and we love seeing that. For those that are old school basketball fans, JoJo White, a Celtic, St. Louis, and he was a champion with the Boston Celtics as well. So we love seeing that type of connection, and it's always great because he was already in championship form. And I know I'm not a big fan of Reggie Miller myself, but Reggie Miller did say something that was actually worth listening to, that they do have a chip on their shoulder, meaning Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, coming over from the Olympics, Jaylen not being able to be on the Olympic team. Derek White, he got his extension, but they weren't mad at Derek White. They're mad at, how they were Jaylen not being on the team, Jason Tatum not getting a lot of clock, during the Olympics, and he showcased why he should have had all that time. So, again, congratulations to them. Of course, the big story in the NBA season was this last night, history being made. As you can see, the four in the picture: LeBron James, Ken Griffey Sr., LeBron James Jr., and Ken Griffey Jr. And they were in LA last night to witness history. And that's an amazing sight to see, no doubt. And when it's hard to fathom that you would never see a moment like that. And here we are in 2024. The last time that happened was 1990, when Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. both appeared in the same game together, got hits, got base hits, and even got home runs in the same game. So that was cool. Now I guess we need to see baskets by both members of the James family, for those for basketball's sake. And this is how it went down, courtesy of Turner Sports.
History tonight: the first father-son duo to play together in an NBA game. This is all in the family. And what a celebration for the James family. Ronnie's brother and sister, his mom on hand.
All right, I got something to say about that last image about Savannah James. Somebody posted on Twitter about, can we get the same energy with Savannah James being featured at every NBA game? Listen. I would love, without a doubt, no doubt about it. Listen, I want that to happen because she deserves just as much energy like they do Taylor Swift in the NFL. But folks, it ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. And not because that she's not worthy of it, because she is. But the thing is, Savannah James don't move the media needle like Taylor Swift does. I know that's gonna be harsh, me saying it, but she don't move that type of needle. And because she doesn't move that type of needle, it's not gonna get the same energy. Trust me, I want this. I want to see her courtside every single game. One, she's a beautiful woman, right? And she's the wife of LeBron James. And here's the thing: she's very quiet. If she loves the fame, I'm cool with that. You know, if she don't like the fame, I'm cool with that too. But here's the thing: Savannah James level ain't on the same celebrity status as a Taylor Swift. And if I'm wrong saying that, you can let me know in the comments. The comments are open. I have it here for everybody. Okay, just let me know. All right. But it was a special moment. You cannot deny that it happened, and I'm grateful to see it happen in my lifetime. I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan, but I'm cool seeing moments like this. You got the all-time leading scorer in NBA history and his youngest son entering into the game on his first NBA game with his dad. All right, now the last thing we need to do for that, send him to the G League. It's time. It's time for him to develop, and I want to see his development game while he's down in the G. I don't care. Give me G League games access. I want to see all of his games on television. If you're going to give me all this LeBron James access, I want Junior's access with the G League. I want to see his development as we go. All right. I'll take a break. When we come back, my special guest, Rob Knox, will be joining me right here on the A-Train Show. You can only find it on Fuel Sports Network at fuelsportsnetwork.com. On this edition of the A Train Show, the A Train Arlington Lane, my special guest with me today is a freelance writer. He is a communications professional, and he just covered the WNBA finals this past week. And one thing I'm a big fan of is old school baseball, and we should have some great conversation coming up in this next few minutes or so. I want to welcome to the A Train Show for the first time my special guest, Mr. Rob Knox. Rob, how you doing this afternoon?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me. And the first time, I mean, man, we've known each other for almost like 4 years now, and it's the first time.
I know. You got to get things in order and make sure everything is good, so that way people can get to see you. And then
I see. I got covered WNBA just to get on your show. I get it. You got to work your way up. You got so it's cool.
But let's touch in about it. First off, with the WNBA finals. First off, the New York Liberty being the 2024 WNBA champions. I would talk about your. You know what? Before I even do that, I'm gonna keep this headline up. Let's talk a little bit about your career being in freelance writing. What got you into that in that stage? That industry. Yeah. Being in that industry. Why did you want to be a writer at that? Just say that.
Yeah, I always wanted to be a sports writer ever since I was in middle school. So I knew that's something I wanted to do, and something I wanted to pursue. And I got lucky in that there were people, there were reporters when I went to high school at Chester High. I worked with our boys basketball team, and we had always had the same reporters covering our team. And I would always say, "Hey, I want to cover this. I want to do what y'all do. I want to do what y'all do." And just so happened when I went to Lincoln, there were a lot of things that worked in my favor, and I had a lot of opportunities, and I was able to provide some immediate value to like our student paper, our student radio station, our PA announcing, just a lot of opportunities for me, right? So I was able to utilize that, build up a portfolio, build up some different things, and I'm going quick because like my journey is like really long, but ultimately, I landed as a full-time sports writer. Well, I freelanced for the Philadelphia Inquirer in the mid-'90s. Yeah. And, so I covered Kobe Bryant when he was in 11th and 12th grade at Lower Merion High School,
wow.
which was fun and interesting, and, a really good time because Rip Hamilton was still at high school as well at Coatesville. Mm-hmm. So, so a lot of fun during that time. I became a full-time sports writer with the Delaware County Daily Times in 1999, did that for 5 years. Left journalism and worked at athletic communications for 17 years at 5 different schools: Lincoln, Kutztown, Coppin State, Towson, and USC Greensboro. Also had to stop at ESPN for 2 years. And so writing for me has always been our blood. Writing is something that I've always wanted to do. Writing, passion of mine. Like I feel that I'm gifted. I feel that's my calling. Telling stories from a unique point of perspective, because like every time I write an article, I always want to entertain, educate, and inform people. Obviously, as long as I got names spelled right and I got the facts right, are the two most important things for me. But I also like to approach it from a different type of lens. And I think my lived experiences, growing up in urban America, growing up in Chester, and being a lot connected to obviously the urban culture, hip hop culture. The different slang that we have as African Americans sometimes. I think it allows me to write and connect from a different lens and different perspective with that. So writing has always been fun. Obviously, freelance writing is challenging because, there's always the debate, right? Are you doing it for clout? Are you doing it, like, why are you doing it, right?
Right.
I do it for I'm passionate about women's basketball. So for me, it's an opportunity to highlight women's basketball, highlight all the great things that are going on, and also, be another voice of the WNBA or women's college basketball in this case. Because I do write for the Knicks. I've written for the Knicks for about this is my second year with the Knicks, and I'm appreciative to Howard Megdo for the opportunity to write about women's basketball, not only the WNBA, but I came to him last year. Because he does a great job with his vertical, and there's so many talented writers and passionate writers that write for it. But obviously, the one space that was missing was, there was little to no coverage of HBCU women's basketball. And again, that's another untapped area of women's college basketball, even with mainstream media, right? Because we're always focused on the USCs, the UConns,
Right.
the South Carolinas, the Iowas, the people that's going to, I get it. They're the ones that's going to move the needle. Like you're not really going to like get a lot of eyeballs reading about Grambling State women's basketball or Norfolk State women's basketball or
True.
So I get that, right? But that doesn't mean that those programs are any less important than UConn and USC and stuff like that. So ultimately, I pitched the opportunity to write about HBCU women's basketball, cover the SWAC and cover the MEAC for the Next, and obviously it adds value to the Next because now the Next can say, hey, not only do we cover the WNBA at a high level, but we also, and the Power Fours, now we also cover the SWAC and the MEAC, in addition to some of the other mid-major conferences in the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been great for me. Like I've enjoyed it. I've put a lot of work into it, and again, it's like the catch-22, right? It's like, God forbid if I lose my main 9-to-5 job today, I would be writing on the street or writing in the backseat of my car, right? So the freelance doesn't pay the bills, but it does, again, allows me to, stay passionate about writing and covering sports. So I love it, and I appreciate you having me on your show because I also, like I feel that, like the work that I do is real quality and it's good. Right, I don't want to sound arrogant or whatever like that, but I feel that it's good, it is entertaining, and I just wish I got more eyeballs on it or got more engagement on social media. But neither here nor there. Again, I'm not doing it for clicks or clout.
Got you. I got you. Hey, real quick, I want to throw my guy in real quick. My co-host is and he's overseas. I want to make sure that he gets acknowledged as well because he is trying to do his best with his connection that he got. What's going on, Big Doc? I can't put the music on today.
Oh, well, he's a pastor. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Okay. I don't have any offer to give you, though.
Man, all pastors don't ask for offer, man. It's all good. I'm one of them ones that don't.
Those doorknobs, they gotta get fixed.
Golly. Rob Knox, Pastor Bailey, Rob Knox.
You,
yes, sir. This is my co-host when we do the show. And so, we touching in a bit about writing a bit and talking a bit about sports. I want to move over a little bit to NBA history. I don't know if you got a chance yourself, Doc, to check out the history being made with Bronny. And did you check out any of the NBA games from last night?
Man, I ain't seen nothing. I'm trying to just stay afloat in these Egyptian waters. We out here in the Nile River, man. And so you know how this go. We still floating right now, trying to make that thing work. And it's nighttime here, so it's kind of like my body is sleep, and then the rest of me is wide awake. So I'm trying to figure out which part of me I need to talk to.
All right, but I definitely wanted you to check in. I know you've been out with the trip and stuff like that, man, and I appreciate you. I tried to do the happy birthday thing, but Monday's show was like, nah, we good. But I wanted to say publicly to you, happy birthday. His birthday was Monday, and you keep on having a great time with it. And when you get back, you already know the seat is already open for you. So
yes, sir.
Got some big things coming up in November too. All right. So right hand
salute to you,
sir.
Nice to meet you.
Love y'all, man. Thank you, man. Good to meet you too, sir. And y'all keep it making it big. Hold it down until I get back. I'll be back Saturday.
I got you, man. I got it. I got no choice.
I might try to jump in on Fridays. We'll see how the flight look, but I might jump in because we'll see. All right. Peace, boy.
Yes, sir. That's my brother, man.
Nice.
Good old Reverend Doctor, man. Yeah. And look, we in two totally different cities. He in Houston, even though he's in Egypt now, but he's based out of the city of Houston. All right, back at it with Rob Knox here on the A Train show. I wanted to make sure I got him in. We lost a legend on yesterday with the passing of Fernando Valenzuela. And for those that remember Fernando, Cardinal fans will remember him for the year that he was there, but of course, everybody's going to remember him with his time with the Dodgers. I find it funny, though. Rob, that he threw a no-hitter against the Cardinals.
Right.
His only no-hitter. And then he joined the team years later. But I want to hear your thoughts on the life and career of Fernando Valenzuela.
Yeah, it's really interesting because he also pitched for the Phillies as well. I'm a big Phillies fan.
That's right. He sure did.
I know my guy A-Train's a big Cardinals fan. The Cardinals, their history is a lot better than the Phillies' history. Just over time, they are the franchise in the National League, and the Phillies. Right. We're the franchise too. We just lost a lot early part of the year, but Fernando is really interesting because Fernando came around about a time when I started really getting into baseball. I wasn't even 10 years old yet when he first came into the league. The Phillies had just won the World Series, so I was just obviously growing up in the Philadelphia area. I was really into baseball. With that 1980 team with Pete Rose, Mike Schmidt, and the others, and then Fernando comes along the following year, and you're like, wow. And again, you don't really fully understand the impact in that moment when you're 8 years old, right? When you're 9 years old, you just know that he's a good pitcher.
Exactly.
But as I became older and became a teenager, I collected baseball cards and. 1988 when the Dodgers won the World Series, and if I'm not mistaken, he was a part of that team. Obviously wasn't the Fernando back in 1981, of course, because of injuries and things like that. But Fernando was he was transcendent in a time where obviously there was no social media, right? So it's really hard to really explain to people now in this generation what his impact was. I mean, the impact that he had back then, especially on the Mexican community, the Latino community in LA, which is obviously close to Mexico predominantly. Lots of Mexicans and Latinos in the city of LA. To have that impact on that people is almost, and some people may consider this hyperbolic, but it's like I need people to understand the correlation here. It's almost like Caitlin Clark mania. Like what we've seen now with, Caitlin Clark and she's deserved it, earned it, proved it, is what that was when Fernando first came onto the scene, because he came onto the scene and did things that nobody did before. I think he had like 5 shutouts in his first 8 starts. And he became so trusted in that rotation. As the Dodgers, made their way, because back in '81, what people forget is they did the division series route in '81. I know '81 is a sore spot for the Cardinals and the Reds because ultimately they ended up having the 2 best records, and in baseball in the National League that year they didn't make the playoffs. But in '81, they had to beat the Astros in the division series, that they beat the Expos and NLCS, and people remember the Expo series for Rick Monday, of course, but Fernando played well. And again, Fernando in '81 in Game 3 of the World Series, the Dodgers were down 2-0 going home, and Fernando was shaky in the beginning of that game. He was like really shaky. He was throwing all types of pitches and just I think he walked a lot of the Yankees and gave up 4 runs in the first 3 innings. And now if you did that, you wouldn't even make it. You don't even finish the game. He finished the game with 147 pitches, which obviously now is unheard of. You're not going to have
what number is that? 147.
Yeah. Some pitchers overthrow 147 pitches. Some starters overthrow 147 pitches in a month, right? But again, I mean, I think Fernando was he was one of the giants. Obviously, the Dodgers being an iconic franchise. The Dodgers being always successful and always winning. It was great in '83 when the Phillies were able to beat the Dodgers. But again, every time he pitched, it was an event. And obviously, I never met the man, and never came close to crossing his path. I've read stories, I've read books, I've read about his upbringing, and everything I've read is that he just seemed just really down to earth, really like, wow, I can't believe all this is happening. All I'm doing is playing baseball. And if you think about those Dodger games in the '80s, you think about Mike Brito with the radar gun and the fedora. Think about Tommy Lasorda and Vince Scully. It's just so much history right there with that organization that Fernando's passing is a void. I didn't know he was as sick as he was. So I'm sure that obviously his death has something to do with that, because he had stepped away for, I guess, like 2 weeks ago, when they announced that he's stepping away. So I mean, everybody that's watching, I highly recommend you all watch the 30 for 30 on Fernando. It's just it was ironic. I watched it about a month ago, and I think what made me watch it a month ago is I was just like, I just want to just watch something on baseball history, and I've seen it before, but I was like, let me go back and watch it again, because I think sometimes when I watch some of these documentaries, I always pick up something different. I always watch it from a different lens.
Yeah, and then you know what? When you see that, stories like him, and then I just recently watched the Levon and Orlando Hernandez documentary that ESPN did, and it's always compelling to hear these stories about how they got to playing baseball, and then when they got to the dynamic they were able to set when they're able to get playing Major League Baseball, especially Levon being in the World Series in '97, and then the very next season, El Duque I think El Duque was on that '98 squad when they won 114 games.
You are correct, because he pitched Game 4 when the Yankees, and people forget in '98 the Yankees trailed the Indians 2-1 in the ALCS.
That's right.
So they had their little they had the adversity, and obviously they didn't lose again because they won the last 3 that Cleveland series that swept the Padres.
Yes, exactly. and they became the best team of all time, and I think Seattle had beat the record with 116 wins, but just couldn't get past Cleveland in 2000. It wasn't the Yankees in 2001. It was the same Yankee team in 2001. So because the Yankees had made the World Series that year against Arizona. All right. Speaking of the Yankees, we got the Dodgers and Yankees, 2 hated teams we cannot stand. I can attest that Rob is not much of a fan of, but Valenzuela's Dodgers are in the World Series, even though in the World Series against the Yankees. And this is not the same Yankee team. Granted, I understand this is not a Yankee team that we can sit back and say, hey, they're going to easily knock off the Dodgers. But they do have, well, I don't know if you want to look at it now. This team could just look as scary as the Dodgers, right?
No, for sure. And I mean, obviously, when Giancarlo Stanton is turning the clock back the way he is, it definitely adds a different dimension to that Yankee lineup. It does become a lot more lengthy, a lot more deeper, and quite frankly, really imposing, right? So the fact that the Dodgers are in the World Series with the way that going in, you didn't think that their pitching will hold up, and they'd have thrown 4 shutouts in the playoffs, and and you look at this series here, you think the Yankees probably have the edge in starting pitching. That's really not saying much. I've never been a fan of the Yankees starting pitching either. But I mean, obviously, I think Garrett Cole's probably the best pitcher in the series.
Absolutely, I don't disagree with it.
And Flaherty didn't pitch well the other night against the Mets up in New York, and they're starting him in Game 1, which kind of tells you about the state of the staff there.
Yeah.
So, but again, the Dodgers have been able to, as they said, outslug their pitching on most occasions. And their lineup is humming. I don't necessarily think, Shohei started to pick it up on the last few games against the Mets. Mm-hmm. So maybe something he could carry into the World Series. But it's going to be fun. It has potential to be really good. I would love to see a 7-game series. But I think it's going to come down to which bullpen can get the critical outs late in the game. I think both teams are really tough as the game goes on.
Exactly. And I think I was looking at it from when you mentioned Flaherty getting the start in game one. I'm looking at it because he was at home the last time and he won that start, pitching well there. So I'm thinking being more of a home base for him will make it a little easier to get off of what happened with him on the road against the Mets. But they're here. Ohtani, Freeman getting another opportunity at another World Series. Ohtani, like I said, this is his first time. I was surprised. I really was, Rob, when I found out this was Giancarlo Stanton's first World Series. And I was like, really? And it really is his first? It's been that long? Yeah, and it really has been. I had to remember he was around the time what Miguel Cabrera was there for a while, and then he took over as the new age slugger for the Florida Marlins. I can't think Miami Marlins, however you want to call them these days. They are the Marlins. But he became the new slugger, and he had not seen a World Series. And here he is now in the World Series with the Yankees. Finally, the money's paying off for him. So, and him being ALCS MVP as well. So,
yeah. I mean, Giancarlo, man. I mean, he has turned it around, and I know a lot of people want to be, going to want Soto, and I think Aaron Judge is going to have a good World Series.
Yeah.
The pressure I think now that he's there, I think the pressure is going to be off of him.
And this isn't Juan Soto's first World Series either. He won one with Washington in that crazy 7-game series against the Astros. So, but he's looking to become one of few to win in both leagues.
Mm-hmm.
A handful of players that have won World Series in both leagues. So that's an interesting storyline to go with as well. So if you really want to look at this Yankees team, they do have a middle of the lineup that's quite stacked, and you don't want to throw anything down the middle because they're crushing it the minute that it happens. So that's a World Series to check out. Who's your prediction for this World Series?
I'm gonna go Dodgers in 7.
Okay, I said Dodgers in 6. I said that one. It's going to end at Dodger Stadium. That's how I look at it. And the tickets for this World Series are already astronomical compared to it was last year. Granted, the matchup wasn't the best. Mm-hmm. And I think Arizona's situation was even more wicked because nobody was going to those games. And so they had significantly lower prices. You can go to a World Series game for $50.
Wow.
Get a good seat. It was it was crazy. I was like, they really selling these tickets. I could have took a flight and went to the World Series for that. But my thing was, and when you have an East Coast and a West Coast team, you're going to have a lot of it's going to be astronomical on those prices because this is what MLB always wanted, was an East Coast and West Coast team, big franchises going against each other in the World Series. And here we are. Hadn't seen this since 1981.
Yeah. I think it is interesting. MLB this year has really, there's been a lot of positive momentum with MLB this year with just different things that they've done and just the ratings and things like that. And I think MLB has you know what? We found our lane and we're good. I don't think they're trying to say, well, we are the national pastime again. We want to be like the NFL or this, that, the other. We're like, look, here's when our games are. Here's when we're going to play. Either you're going to watch it, you're not going to. But the people that's watching, you're getting, faster games. You're getting quicker stuff. More action is happening. So, I think that's been a great thing.
All right, we're gonna take a quick timeout, and then when I come back, we're gonna. I want to make sure I touch in on the WNBA because kind of got away from it with baseball. And we talk about baseball all day. I want to make sure I want to get the W. It's love before we head out. All right. So one minute, we'll be right back with more with Rob Knox here on the A-Train Show right on Fuel Sports Network. Back on this edition of the A Train Show, the A Train in Arlington Lane, with my special guest Rob Knox on the show. And WNBA Finals done, it's finished, it's over. The season was a definite success. If I'm not mistaken, Rob, you could tell me what 2.2 million saw the final game, or what was it, 1.7 million or something like that. I think it peaked at 2.2 for that Game 5 final. So it saw significant viewership because it was a great game, yet it had a little bit of controversy, which even makes that even better for the league. What was your thoughts on that WNBA final series?
Well, one, it was good, and a few things could be true. You know, I thought New York would win the finals, and they did. That part could be true. The next part that can be true is that there was an obvious travel that was missed on Breanna Stewart, and that can be true. And I didn't necessarily see a lot of contact on the foul that they called with 5 seconds left in the game, and that can be true, right? So I think the finals were good. I think they were just marred by the officiating because after 3 of the 5 games, you had coaches, sharing displeasure about the officiating, which is unfortunate. But I think that as the athletes and the women have grown and gotten better and faster and stronger and more athletic and everything else that goes with it, I think that the officiating in the league has not caught up and is not at the level that it needs to be. Which is unfortunate. Hopefully, I'm sure that's something that's going to be addressed, and they'll get to it. That being said, you can look at it a lot of ways with Minnesota. Did they do enough to put themselves in a position to win? Sure, they did, right? You can look at it too. They had the ball up 2 after Stewie missed a pair of foul shots. I think they had an empty offensive possession. New York gets the ball back, and unfortunately get caught for the foul. They still had the ball with 5.2 seconds left. Miss a 3-pointer, you go to overtime. And even though they give us the first 5 points, they got to 65-62, and I think they had 3 or 4 possessions in a row where New York was stuck on 65. And, Minnesota just couldn't get over that home. So, a lot of things could be true in that game. But at the same time, I think that, New York showed a lot of grit and being able to fight back. I wrote about Kayla Thornton after the game. She gave them 20 minutes, and I think she scored 2 points, had a block shot. It was like minor or something like that. But her impact would be on the box score, and it made a difference in why New York came back to win that game. But overall, it was a great series. It was terrific. Big shots, tough defense. A lot of comebacks. New York came back from a double-digit deficit to win Game 3. The Lynx came back from a double-digit deficit to win Game 1.
Yeah.
Technically, the Liberty came back from another double-digit deficit to win Game 5. So
a lot of things can be true in this case, though, right?
Yeah. So I guess the lesson learned in these fouls is, don't lead by double digits because you will lose.
Okay. So you got a chance to this was your 10th year covering the WNBA. So my question to you is, Rob, where do we go from here with the WNBA? What are we building off of to make the season better than it was before?
I just think that, I just think more, obviously higher player salaries is number one. I think that the expansion is going to help because you're going to give opportunities to more talented women for jobs. I think the level of play, has been high, and I think that it's only going to get better. Obviously, next year, Paige Beckers is going to come into the league. In a few years, you'll have Juju and this whole really talented sophomore class coming to the league. So I think that I think that the WNBA is, I think this is the floor, to be honest with you, and that's why it didn't surprise me that they opted out of the CBA the other day. I'm fully confident that they'll have it where it needs to be by next year, by the end of next year. So I wouldn't get read a whole lot into that, and I think it's just necessary. Just like the NFL is going to opt out of their TV deal when the first opt out is like 2029 or 2031, something like that, because they'd be able to get more money. So I think that this is just a cost. I think this is just part of their business, and obviously they deserve, and you deserve to. The league deserves now to be treated the same way the NBA is treated, which in some ways in a lot of ways is great. Selfishly for me, it's not as good because the access isn't what it once was. You have to go through a little bit more red tape. And again, as somebody that does this, part time, it does become challenging because when stuff happens, I'm not able to be there. and fully develop the relationships that are needed with the coaches, the front office personnel, and the athletes. So it's always like I always feel like a drop in, a flyby, a parachuter for the most part, where I'll parachute in and do something and parachute out, because again, as we talked about, I do have the full-time job. So that's why I love writing, I love what I do, but it is frustrating sometimes because the time and the effort that you want to put into it is sometimes limited.
Yeah. Real quick before you go, I want to make sure I show some love to some of the women that have worked with the WNBA, some that you've got a chance to mentor. And I saw a couple of photos. I want to hear your thoughts on it. First off, this is the first photo here from the WNBA Finals. You talk about the young lady that's here right here. I think her name is Zena Kita. Is that correct?
Yeah, she's amazing. We I did not mentor her. We went in the same group chat.
I said some of them. I thought I said some of them.
Okay, no worries. No worries. We're in the same group chat. Like this minority in sports group chat or whatever like that. And she's grinded, done a lot of great stuff out in the Bay Area with the Golden State franchise, with the Warriors, and then even with their G League team. And obviously she does a lot of stuff for the Athletic on their podcast and things like that. And she's just phenomenal. So it was just like great to actually meet her in person, because we've talked a couple times over Twitter, here and there. And we thought we were going to run it. We thought we wanted to meet up when the NBA All-Star game was in Utah, and I went to the HBCU Classic, but plans got switched around or whatever like that. So we've always been Twitter cool and saw each other from a distance and things like that. But yeah, she's great. She's a great person. Does great work. And is definitely connected. And it's good when you're surrounded by good people.
And this individual here, I'm gonna shout her out because I love her. Especially her.
Yeah, I love her.
This is Miss Tarika here.
Yeah, Miss Tarika. I love her because she always has time. And but she is, again, she's awesome at what she does. She does great work.
Yes, she does.
And she's passionate at what she does, and she's knowledgeable.
Oh, absolutely.
The best part, she's a St. Aug grad, so we're both HBCU grads, and I'm blessed that our paths have crossed a lot over the last couple of years.
This guy's an HBCU. No, I'm an HBCU grad. That's what I was saying.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes,
shout out to Alabama A&M University, who's this week. Their
Bulldogs. Yes.
Magic City Classic is going down this weekend. And one more person there's a couple of people I want to throw out before you take off. This individual here, like I love her too. Roz got a chance.
So it's so funny. Like Roz and I go back to when I was at SID, because when I worked at Copper State, we played at Oregon. She was the color commentator. She had reached out to me like during the week and stuff like that. So we connected like that week, and we didn't stay in touch or whatever the case may be. But then this past year. I mean, I've always followed. Obviously, you talk about somebody that did great work with Golden State Warriors, right?
Yes.
Going the dynasty
My
era.
gosh. My gosh. Yes.
And and on TNT now. But Roz, I had the opportunity to do a story on her and Zora Stevenson this past summer because they were announcers for the Liberty. So I had a chance to do a story on both of them, and got a chance to really get to know Roz and talk to her about her journey, her career. And then it just so happens that I've been to New York a couple of times since then, and so we've seen each other more and more, and we're connected. And she actually texted me a cool picture of myself interviewing Brianna Stewart, which I enjoyed. So now Roz is definitely one of the best, man. I mean, there's so many phenomenal women and that's working in sports media, man. And she's just another one.
Yeah, and one, I got one more because I have come acquainted with her too. Done some interviews with her, and we've had a great time every time we do the show. The person on the far right, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. I see the one in the middle. The one in the middle is
I know.
Was this before or after?
That was way before because
it was way before.
Look, trust me, I would have never posted that picture at all, and me and Kelsey would have never taken a picture with her.
Let me tell you something. I have a photo I've taken with Dave Portnoy of Barstool. He was in 2019. He came for the Stanley Cup, and I literally, where I lived at the time, I lived across the street from the Blues Arena, Enterprise Center. Lived right across the street. Mm-hmm. So they all are leaving, and I'm like, let me check the scene, and out walks on the street is Dave Portnoy. I said, let me go ahead and take a photo with Dave Portnoy, and he was like, yeah, man, come on, let's go and take it. We take the picture. Next thing I know, I done seen all stuff trickle down effect with Dave. And so, but I'm here to celebrate Kelsey, Christine as well. Despite the controversy, she should celebrate her as well. I know a lot of people side-eyeing her at this moment, but
yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, she's done a lot, and
yes,
I think that again, I know you didn't ask me, but I'm gonna give it anyway. My take on that whole Dejanay situation was, the question probably was valid. The problem is I felt that she just asked it in a way that offered no context.
Right.
I feel like if you preface your question by saying, hey, I know there's, I don't know if but there's been a lot of chatter on social media about that specific play. In that moment, did you mean it? But then it was like when she said she didn't, and it was like more of an interrogation, like, well, I saw you laughing. Why were you laughing? It felt more personal than it needed to be.
Yes.
In that moment. But that's just my opinion on it. I mean, I don't know if I would have asked it or asked it in that way. But yeah, Kelsey, I always call her my favorite celebrity. Because she's everywhere. She does so much for everybody. Yep. But she is a great person, a good soul, and just somebody I'm blessed to be connected with.
Yeah, so they definitely want to make sure we give her some love as well.
Kelsey is the best. Kelsey is the best.
Yes. So Rob, first of all, thank you so much for coming on. Got a little overtime with it, but I appreciate you hopping through and rapping with me about some topics today. And before you go, tell the listeners and those that are watching where they can find you on social media.
You can find me on social media. On Twitter at KnoxRob1, LinkedIn as well. Those are probably the two primary places I'm at right now. But yeah, I mean, if you like what you hear, you want to read some of my work, follow KnoxRob1. Always looking to get more eyes on my writing, if at all possible.
Fantastic. All right, appreciate you so much for hopping through and coming
on.
No
problem. Appreciate you, man.
I want to make sure this is not the end, and you're always welcome to come on and bring you on for another great conversation. I can't wait for baseball season. we might get you in during the World Series. See how you feeling with everything that's going on and what the Phillies are going to do next year.
I have no clue what the Phillies are going to do next year because we have a roster that clearly doesn't fit what we need to do late in the season. And we got money tied up in a lot of players that I don't know. It's not an easy fix to like move people. I mean, you can move some young pieces. You can move Bohm and Stott, but who'd you bring in return, and like where would you move some pieces around to? So,
all right. Well, we'll close it out with that, and we'll be right back to close out the show right here.
All right, thanks, man.
Thanks, Rob. Have a good one, man.
Care. Yeah, have a good one. All right. Take care. Bye.
On this edition of the A-Train Show, the A-Train Arlington Lane. I want to thank my special guest, Rob Knox, for a great conversation. And that learned a lot from what he's been able to do during this period, being a freelance writer. Those that, kind of want to write and stuff, like myself, like just really want to get back into the fold of things and tell stories. Just want to make sure put all my thoughts to paper, and he kind of helped a bit with that, and definitely got his thoughts on the WNBA and Major League Baseball as a whole, and we got a lot of great stuff in just that amount of time. I didn't want to hold him long, but when the conversation gets great, you want to keep it going as best as you can. So. Big ups to Rob Knox for that. I appreciate that. Thanks for the special appearance by my co-host, the Reverend Dr. Robert Bailey Jr. And we had a good one today. I wanted to make sure I got all of that in. He says he's going to come on Friday, so we'll see what happens after that. I want to thank our great sponsors that work with us for Philip Johnson Salon and Spa, McDougal Bats, Just Meat Jerky, W Energy Powder. Thank you so much for what you do, and grateful that you continue to work with us here at Fuel Sports Network. Hey, if you get a chance, folks, make sure that you go online to our website, fuelsportsnetwork.com. You can check us out on Facebook at Fuel Sports Network. We're on X at Fuel Sports Net. And if you have any questions, if you want comments that you would like to have on air, please keep them clean. I would hope that you would do so. You can send it to our email address at admin@fuelsportsnetwork.com. There it is. Send in your questions. See it scroll, and you may be able to join us on the program too. All right. Let's see. Friday. We got anything Thursday? I'm not sure. Friday, we got the Friday Night Extreme coming up. And then I'll be back again on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on Fuel Sports Network, okay? So, again, thanks to Rob Knox, thanks to Robert Bailey Jr., And thanks to you, the audience, for tuning in to this edition of the show. I appreciate that wholeheartedly, and keep supporting us here at Fuel Sports Network, and we'll make sure we continue to do a great job. Thanks to our producer, thanks to Jeremy Housewright, that's doing an amazing job with the articles. Make sure you read his stuff at fuelsportsnetwork.com as well. All right. So for just a little while, I'll catch you on Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Got some wrestling talk to talk about a bit. And next week, I'll have a special guest that's had a lot of fun content creation. What's going on with him? I got to let you got to check in next week to find out what that's about. Okay. I'm not going to tell you anything about it now, but you'll find out on Friday, November 1st. All right. This A-Train signing off. Catch you again. Another edition of the A-Train Show right here on Fuel Sports Network and online at fuelsportsnetwork.com.